Hi you guys, welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and today we're going to discuss my Q3 updates for my 2020 crafty goals. So there are some things that have been knocked off of the list, like I just know they're not going to happen at this point in the year. They will get rolled over to 2021. As I said at the beginning of the year, and in response to a lot of comments on my 2019 goals final, I don't do this as like I have to and put pressure on myself. I do it, to remind myself of the things I intend to do over the course of the year, because there are things I mean to do and never get to. I just forget. And then at the end of the year, I'm like, oh yeah, I was going to make or oh yeah, I meant to. So I do it for that. And then I also do it because I enjoy tracking things. I enjoy seeing my progress for the entire year. I enjoy seeing what I actually produce, because so much of the stuff I make leaves the house as soon as I'm done with it. I don't have records beyond a picture here or, now that I have a YouTube channel, I've got video evidence of some of the things I've made, but I don't have, just stacks and stacks and stacks of stuff sitting around. And part of it, like this year, I'm working on trying to decrease my yarn stash. I want to use what I have, because when I moved last year, I got rid of a lot of stuff that just didn't spark joy anymore. And now I'm left with all this stuff I love. And it's a little overwhelming, because when I look around, I want to work with all of it. So setting goals of kind of how I want to work with stuff also helps me with that. And it helps me to stay accountable to myself. I am a really bad impulse purchaser. I was having a bad day when Hobby Lobby did their yarn clearance, but I didn't buy for me. I bought as a Happy Mail giveaway. Things like that. So, sorry, I'm still finding things from the last 2 videos I filmed that need to go in my basket to go back upstairs. So I am kind of, and now I got yarn on my tongue from holding up projects. So where am I? Well, first off, I want to discuss empties. This would be a lot fuller if I weren't working with what I am for Halloween cards. I got 2 value packs from Doodlebug, and I'll type up a thing and put it here of what those included. But they've got ribbons and brads and papers, but they're all there. It's not a whole collection. It's little bits and pieces. And then over the years, I have collected little bits and pieces here and there. So I've kind of been putting them all together. So that's kind of what I'm using. It's not necessarily a packaged thing that I can just be like, hey, here, this is empty. Especially with the paper. Because, I think there's like 16 pieces of 12 by 12 paper in these kits, and they're from like 6 different collections. The oldest piece was from 2008, I think. So some of them are kind of like, they just don't match the new style. It's been weird, but this is going to be fairly short, unlike previous months. I used an entire package of the Paper Studio cards. These were in gray, I believe. Original price $3.50, and I got them 50% off. But yeah, 1 package of cards got used. There'll be a lot more of those in my near future, because I needed colored card bases for some things. 2 rolls of washi tape are completely empty, and 5 rolls of ATG. ATG is the dry adhesive I use for my paper crafting. It's just a tape runner, but it's just a really, really big tape runner. I am a huge fan of the ATG price point compared to buying individual small, like 20-yard rolls of dry adhesive. But there are lots of dry adhesive on the market. I just prefer ATG. And you can get knockoff refill rolls on Amazon for like dirt cheap. But yeah, so 2 washies, and I'm about to add a 3rd one. I do know that the 3rd one will be soon, but not in time for this video. 5 ATGs and a package of cards, plus little bits that are almost done. I'll have my Halloween cards hopefully done by the end of the weekend. And there'll be a couple more things dropped in here, but some things are going to have to get shifted to 2021, and that's fine. All right. I've got my notebook that I made at the beginning of the year where I've been putting all my crafty stuff and notes and pattern information and stuff like that. On my front page here, I made a flap that has all of my goals for the year, some of the notes I've made, stuff like that. The first one on my list is to use 75 pounds of craft supplies. This one kind of surprised me. I'm at 65.08 pounds. 29,523 grams total. And that's paper crafting, yarn crafting. I have not done any of the vinyl projects I had intended to do. This is literally just raw supplies right now. I'm kind of freaked out by how much I've gotten done. Making 15 preemie blankets. I'm still only at 4. I haven't touched preemie blankets since the beginning of the year. Make 25 donation hats. I have only sent out 21 hats, but I have at least another 15 ready to go. So I will definitely have that goal hit by the end of the year. 15 scrapbook pages. I've only done 1. Oh, I skipped a whole bunch. Sorry. 10 blankets. I have completed 6 blankets so far this year, and I am working on number 7 right now. Every preemie blanket, every 2 preemie blankets counts as 1 blanket. So I actually think I made 5 preemie blankets, but 1 has not been counted because it wasn't doubled up. But yeah, so I have completed 6 out of 10. Number 7 is on the hook now. If I take, you know, the Christmas season to do some preemie blankets after I'm done card making and stuff like that for Christmas, I could very easily have my 10 blanket goal, which I'm ecstatic about. Make 400 cards, not including my Halloween cards, which I am up to 65 of. I have 331, and I'm not done making Christmas cards for this season, and I am not sure if I'm going to have time to do my fall Thanksgiving cards like I normally do. 5 shawls, did that. I am up to 21 shawls finished this year. 15 scrapbook pages, I've done 1. Finish 6 pairs of socks, I have done 1. Or 3, sorry, 3. Yarn ban. So the deal with my yarn ban was I was only going to purchase what I needed to finish a project. I was not going to buy anything that just went into my stash. I could continue to get my subscription boxes as I was in 2019. And if I purchased something to put in my stash, I had to give away the same amount of yarn from my stash. That way it was a net in my stash. I've done fairly well with that. The only exception was my Craftsy purchase or Blueprint purchase as they were going out of business. That's a whole thing. I'm not even going to touch that with 10-foot pole, but they had a couple of items that I really, really, really wanted, and I went ahead and purchased those. One was because it had been on my list since before the year started. I just hadn't purchased it yet, and that was going to be the only opportunity I had to purchase the kit as a whole. The rest, my husband insisted that I go ahead and get as an early birthday gift. So I did an unboxing for that in August. Around the time of my birthday, I shared exactly what I had gotten as an early birthday gift. But that was purchased before. We also, in our group, had allowed ourselves one big event we could go crazy at. And I had planned on doing the Premier Warehouse sale. I've not seen anything about them doing it, but the way North Carolina's control has been, I don't think that we could have it anyway. So I haven't really made a huge go crazy purchase, but I don't think I'm going to have one unless they do a massive online clearance sale at Premier. A lot of the things from the warehouse sale were available online as well. There were just some things that weren't available online. So I might still do something, but even with the Hobby Lobby clearance sale, I didn't really purchase anything for myself. I did purchase one thing I'd been wanting to try that they were clearancing out, but the only yarn purchases I made have been with the intention to review the yarn or complete a project. So I'm not doing that horrible with the exception of that one thing. Socks. Make Dad's Christmas blanket. I have that started, but I have not finished it. Working through my kitchen cotton. I am making great progress on that. At the end of the year, I'll show the picture of my bag where I started with it in 2019 versus where it is now. I have changed where I'm storing it, but it's all in one place, and it's pretty fantastic how little is in that box still. I have not yet tried brioche knitting. That's still on my list. It's a carryover from last year. I did try interlock this year, which was not on the list. The next thing was finishing my Jada and Stitches 2017 blanket. I did that. I have made no progress on the 2019 blanket, which is the next thing. Working into 25 100-gram hanks of sock yarn. I have worked into 13, so there's probably no way for me to hit 25 by the end of the year. And that's okay. I did better on sock yarn than I thought I would. Sock yarn is one of the things I love collecting. It is so beautiful. And so many independent dyers make so many amazing yarns and colorways that it is really hard to not just be obsessively like all of them. I want to make all of them. I want to do all the stuff with all of them. So my sock yarn stash is fairly huge. And I also have a really bad addiction to knit picks. And knit picks, the Hawthorne, Sock Lab things that they do, the collections, seasonal collections they do. So many of those are so gorgeous. There's like 3 of the new ones that I'm just dying to have. They're on my wish list for Christmas, so if they're still available, there's a chance for that. But breaking into 13 balls of sock yarn, having only made 3 pairs of socks is actually really good for me. And I do have a couple of things set out. The next 3 I've made no progress on: finishing my peppermint swirl blanket, starting a blanket for one of my stepsons, and starting my llama blanket. I've done nothing with any of those. The blanket pattern I have picked out for my stepson's blanket is actually very, very, very out of date now. So that yarn might get rehoused back into my stash, and I will come up with something different there. Kind of like my Doctor Who blanket, where as much as I love it, now it's out of date, and it kind of frustrates me. But that's how, active fandoms go. Things change. It was a fandom themed blanket. But yeah, overall, I'm really, really pleased with where I am. Let's see, I made some notes back here. So far, I have used 20,245 grams of yarn alone. So I've got 9,000 in other crafts, 20,000 in yarn, which means I've used over 200 100-gram balls. I am at 41,497.5 yards of yarn, and I will put here what that is in miles because I forgot to write that down. But I am now counting that. I can now calculate that legitimately in miles, and that kind of freaks me out. This has been a very, very productive year. I did opt to do yardage as well as weight because when you're using finer yarns, your weight it doesn't show how much you really made. Because I can do a hat in worsted weight for 50 grams or a pair of socks in fingering weight for 50 grams. So seeing the yardage is actually quite impressive. I have 135 finished objects for the year, yarny, and 27 finished objects for the year in others, but a lot of those are in groups, 24 Easter cards, 55 Christmas cards, things like that. So there are groups within that where things were done all together. But yeah, that's a lot of finished objects. That's not including the WIPs. In my notebook, you can see my little flags here. These are WIPs that are turning into UFOs. Like my Geldy sweater and my Rassimo cowl and stuff. Those were started at the beginning of the year. We're in the early spring and still aren't finished. But yeah, I am overall really pleased with how much I've gotten done. I will have more things to mark off here shortly, here in the next month or two. So my list will be getting shorter of what I still ought to be working on or had meant to be working on this year. Pretty excited about that. I am enjoying seeing holes popping up. I've got one cube in the wall behind you guys that is starting to really show just how much I've used. I have Summer's Tips and Stitches did a pocket shawl the other day that I really wanted to make, and that's going to take a substantial amount of a single color that I have that I've had set aside, and I'm pretty excited about that. I really am pleased with my progress. I feel really good about this year and what I've gotten done, the amount of projects I've gotten done, what those projects were. I mean, it's not all preemie hats, baby hats, preemie blankets, tiny projects. I'm actually getting some large things done. So I'm pretty pleased overall, but that's all I had for you guys. I hope you're having a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you guys real soon. Love you guys.